What is up, y'all? Goofy Rexy, and hope you guys are all doing well today. So we've had a couple days now to digest the Iceman craze, the Iceman kit here, and I'm going to be going through a quick video talking about just a character review, just talking about how I feel about him as a character here, likes and dislikes, where I've been using him so far, teams that I think that he could be effective with. Obviously, I know Astonishing X-men, but there's some other candidates that I think he could be good with if you're not able to get an Astonishing X-Men team. And we're going to be talking about that today in this video. But to do that, man, I got my guy here with you, my guest. How you doing, brother? Bernie, how you doing, baby? Oh, you look cold. You look cold. Is because Iceman's in the room? Is that the reason why you feel this way? All right. Appreciate you being here, though. Thank you. All right, guys, let's get to the video right now. All right, y'all, welcome back, baby. So this is where I have Iceman at right now. I have him at level 65, gear tier 10, and this is pretty much basically where I'm going to leave him until I'm able to get some higher gold and red stars on him. I like him so far. I'm not going to lie about that. I like him so far. It's probably a lot of his nostalgia, right? A lot of his nostalgia for me, as a guy, growing up, watching the previous cartoon shows with Spider-Man, Sunfire, and Iceman. It's just nostalgia and the cartoons. It's just been good. It's been good. So I'm enjoying the fact that Iceman is in the game here. And in terms of kit, I like the kit too. But listen, I only have him at 3 and 2. Didn't really get favorable red stars on him. So hopefully that changes over the next couple days or so. We have until Monday, right? So hopefully I get lucky with some red stars here, and then I'll be able to get him to 4 red stars, and then with the blitz be able to get him to 4 gold stars. I would feel pretty happy about that. But listen, what I like about him, I like his kit. I like that he pings with this passive ability here. When an enemy has slow, he is always going to attack with 110% piercing damage. I like that he does that when an enemy has slow. He also does have a 30% chance of doing it as well without them having slow on him. But obviously him having the slows is going to make him, it's going to make it even better. Now, 110% piercing is not a lot of damage, but overall, it's still damage that you're doing with a non-attack, right? With a passive ability. So any additional attack that you can do on an enemy, definitely well worth it. I also do like his armor. Even though I only have him at 3 and 2, his armor is at 4,000, which I think is pretty good. And I looked at the stats. I think it's kind of top. I think like either top 50 or top 35 in the game, when it comes to his armor. So I think that that's going to be very valuable for him as a character, especially considering that he also does get barrier when an enemy does get slow applied to them. So I think that that's going to be a very valuable thing for him to also be able to have the barrier and then have the high armor. I think that's going to be very, very good, for for Iceman. And yes, barrier was the next thing that I really liked about his kit, and animations. His animations are pretty dope, man. His animations are pretty dope in the game. Me, I'm not just about abilities and stuff. It's also about how they look, and they look pretty sexy in the game, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. Now, what I don't like about Iceman right now is his focus stat. His focus stat is pretty low, and for where I'm at in the game right now, in U7, that focus is not really going to do anything for me. U7 difficulty 2, that focus is not going to do anything for me. Now, granted, he's only at 3 gold and 2 reds, right? So what can I expect? He's not going to have that high of a focus, being there. But when I looked at it from a stat perspective, he's really in the bottom of the game, in terms of rankings, in the hundreds. There's 150 characters in the game. He's really in the hundreds when it comes to his focus, and that's not very good, because with his ultimate ability, it's an AoE slow where he's gonna have the potential chance to be able to stack some slows here, and his kit and what he does, his specialty is really going to be based on slow. So him not being able to land this slow on, and if you're going to be using him in raids, that's not very good, because that's really kind of where you want him to shine. And then that brings me to my next point. He's very slow debuff dependent, right? You're going to need him to have slows on, need the enemies to have slows in order for him to be able to ping all the time. You're going to need them to have slows so that he can also, in raids with his passive ability, he can lower damage by 20%, but it's only for all enemies that have slow, you know, and then lowering armor by 10% for all enemies that have slow. So he is pretty slow dependent. And if you don't have other characters around him, if he can't land those slows himself, if you don't have other characters around him that are landing those slows, then he's not as effective. And I've been using him in the Greek raids, you know, in beta raids right now. Right now we're doing we dropped down to 3. We did some 4s, but we dropped down to 3. 4, he was not really effective. In 3, he was sort of kind of effective with being able to land some of those slows. The basic was fine because with the basic, he gets an extra 1000% focus to do that one. But with his ultimate ability, it didn't always work very well, which also means, so you have 7 enemy characters, and he's not landing the slows. He's not really be able to take advantage of it. So you really need to have other characters around him that are going to be landing those slows so that he can be effective. Now, with the Astonishing X-Men team, he does have that, right? Jubilee's ultimate ability will land slows on, it's an AoE slow. So he is definitely going to be able to benefit from that. And if you can find a way for him to increase his focus ability right now, the recommendation is putting Skirmisher on him, because Skirmisher does increase his focus, you know, so Skirmisher is also a very good one. But outside of the Astonishing X-Men team, you can also use, you know, Emma. Emma's a really good character, you know, AoE special ability. You can use a combination team with symbiotes. If you're not gonna have the Astonishing X-Men team, then you can use Symbiote Spider-Man. He has a full, you know, as a 2-turn slow if you T4 that ultimate ability as well, you know. So there's ways that you could take advantage of what Iceman does by having some other characters. In raids, I've been testing them out with Symbiote Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, Carnage or Venom, and then Emma. And, you know, being able to time those slows, you know, those AoE slows has been really beneficial, you know, for me, with using Iceman. And like I said, I mean, he's only at 3 and 2, so it's gonna be even better when I am able to get him to at least, you know, 4 and 4. And I looked at the stats. When I get him to 4 and 4, his focus does go up to 2200, you know. So in MSF.gg, I played around with the stats a little bit there, and it that 2200 for me is actually going to be a good place where I can actually use them. So 71 and 12, you know, 2200 focus, I can actually use that and have that be effective somehow too. Keep in mind too that with this team, Beast is going to give him offense up. That should help with the focus. Also, you know, Jubilee is going to give him offense up too, so that is also going to help with his focus as well. So listen, I mean, yes, weakness, focus for sure. That's going to hurt you a little bit with his AoE ultimate. I do think that because his focus is that low, he might be somewhat, forgive me, this is my blitz timer going off. I will do that right after this video. But yeah, with you know, with his focus being so, I think he's a little red star dependent, you know, because higher red stars, it's going to increase his focus. But also using other things like Skirmisher, being able to have other characters around him that can do offense up, that will also help him too. And of course, like I said, if you use him outside the Astonishing X-Men team, then characters like Emma and, you know, Symbiote Spider-Man, other characters that can do, you know, slows. If you use them with Ghost can extend slows, you know, so therefore he'll continue to ping them too. Things like that. And I'm thinking about that you could do. And there's probably other characters that do slows too that you could use Iceman with that would definitely be helpful for your team. The last thing that we're going to go through is going to be T4s. Like what are the best T4s for him? When I looked at his basic ability here, attack primary and adjacent targets, 490% damage, and then apply slow. Once again, 1000% extra focus for this action. So primary target for the most part is definitely going to be able to get that slow on him, which then means that he's going to get barrier, which then, you know, means that on the next turn when that character goes, he's going to be able to ping them, right? Very good. But in terms of T4, It's only 50%, an additional 50% damage. He's not a big damage dealer, so therefore not really worth putting that T4 on it. Now, special ability, attack primary target for 230% damage. If the target has slow, this attack always crits and then always applies stun. Great ability, I think, just because of the critting and the stun. Crit originally was the reason why we thought Raider would be best on him, but based on his focus now, Skirmisher is best. But in terms of T4, 50% extra damage, not a big damage dealer, not really worth putting that T4 on him. Now, ultimate ability, barrier yourself for 20%. Very good barrier. By the way, I will say this, even with the low health that I have him at right now, because of the slows and him getting barrier every time an enemy gets slow on him, it's actually been helping to keep him alive. And with the Astonishing X-Men team, Jubilee is going to increase his health. You know, she gives 30% extra health. I think that has to be T4, but he's going to be giving extra health to the team. Also, Kitty's going to be able to give evade if he's too low or give defense up, things like that too. So from a sustained standpoint, he's going to be fine, you know, on the Astonishing X-Men team. You don't have to worry about that. But if you T4 this ultimate ability here, you're going to get a plus 10% of this character's max health as a barrier. He's already getting 20. I don't really think that you need that extra 10%. If you're doing higher content, like maybe U7, then maybe potentially you might want to put some extra on him. That extra 10% might be very important, but I think overall you probably don't really need to have this here, especially because, once again, 60% damage. He's not a damage dealer. I don't really find that to be as beneficial. Now with the special ability, you know, what you're going to be getting here is an increase. So let's go through it. If he has 4 or more Astonishing X-Men allies, health is full. Max revive or revive once for 40% of this character's max health. On enemy slow, barrier for 5% of this character's max health. On enemy turn, 30% chance to attack that enemy. I think we already went through some of this already. Lower armor in raids, lower damage. If you T4 it, 30% plus 30% piercing on the enemy turn. For me, the extra 30% piercing, while piercing does bypass armor, still don't think it's really that important. But I do like the reducing the armor by 10% and also an additional 10%, and then reducing damage by an additional 10% too. I think that's pretty big, especially when you're or that's pretty good when you're adding that to also the reduction of damage with Bishop's kit. I think that this is actually a pretty nice one to have. That team is not a very big damage team. They're more of a sustained team. Yes, Bishop does a lot of damage. Yes, Jubilee will do some damage too. This team is a very sustained team, so being able to lower armor and then also be able to lower damage, I think is going to be very useful, you know, for this Astonishing X-Men team. So I really think that from a T4 perspective, I would only go with his passive ability, in my personal opinion. But listen, and this is what I think so far. Obviously, I think things might change once we get the full team and have more of an idea. But these are my quick thoughts here on Iceman as a character. Like I said, try out some of those combos, you know, if you can. If you're doing U6, you may not need the focus to be that high. You might be okay with the focus not being that high, but where I'm at in the game, I do need that focus to be a little bit higher. So until I get some more gold and some more reds on him, I probably won't be bringing him up any higher than where he is right now. Listen, appreciate you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Where have you been using him? What are your thoughts on him so far? Are you looking to be able to get this character? Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Y'all be blessed and y'all be safe.